Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about a question we get all the time, which is how to list products on Amazon without a product ID. And the way that you do that is through GTIN exemption. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys all the Amazon GTIN exemption process and everything that you need to do to get your exemption. But before we do that, I really wanted to talk to you guys about the pros and cons of requesting GTIN exemption, because not a lot of people talk about this, and there are consequences of using your exemption if you get approved. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so the first pro, and probably the only pro, is that you get to save money. Now, I'm not saying this is a small benefit at all, because we know that barcodes, especially the GS1 barcodes that Amazon recommends, are very expensive. They're about $250 per code, plus a $50 fee renewal every single year. And that is on the US website. And as we mentioned here before, you do get lower prices if you go to the United Kingdom GS1 website, but still that can easily add up, and if you're launching a lot of products at once, you see that it can get pretty expensive. So this is definitely a big benefit, which is that you get to save money. But now let's talk about the cons. The first con is that you get limitations on all of the sales channels that you can sell that product. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you want to sell on Walmart Marketplace, you are required to have a UPC code associated with all of your products. So if you are only interested in selling on Amazon or just a few other sales channels like Etsy or eBay, where you are not required, at least as of right now, to have a UPC code, then that's totally fine. That's not really a con at all. But if you're thinking long-term, as we usually take that approach long-term, and if you want to expand into new sales channels and new marketplaces, you might have to end up purchasing a barcode at some point. But still, you can still save money for the time that you did not have to purchase that barcode. The second con is that if you ever change your brand name, you will probably have to create a complete new listing. That means new product launch and a new ranking and all of that. And that is because, as you're going to see on the step-by-step process, you actually need to associate a brand with that product that you're going to add. When you request GTIN exemption, you have to be very clear about the brand you're going to be using. And if you ever change that brand, then you're going to have to create a new listing. And then the third con is actually not an official con, but it is that you may get some back-end issues. That is what happened to us. So that's why I said it's not official. It's just from personal experience. We actually did request GTIN exemption. And when we were trying to put those new listings that had that exemption into a variation family that already existed and had UPC codes associated with them, we had a lot of issues. It took a lot of calls to Seller Center and a lot of headache, honestly, to make it work. So I'm not saying you're going to experience these issues. This was a while ago, actually, so they may not be having any issues with that at all, but just wanted to put it out there because it's a possibility. Now, it's important to say that we applied for GTIN exemption after we had a registered brand, which is actually the best case scenario, because as I said, when you apply, if you already have a registered brand, then you just have to input that brand, and you most likely won't be changing that, and you won't have to show all of these different proofs about that brand that you're going to see, you're going to be requested to show as we go through the step-by-step tutorial of applying for GTIN exemption. So these are the pros and cons. I just wanted to be very clear about this so you could decide for yourself if this is something that you want to do and you want to go ahead and go through the GTIN exemption process, which we're going to show right now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Once you click on that link, you'll be taken to this page, which talks about everything about GTIN exemption, what product categories are required to have a UPC numbers and which ones you actually can apply for GTIN exemption. And just in general, I believe the majority of you guys are actually going to be private label sellers. And for almost every single category, if you are selling a private label product, you are able to request GTIN exemption. But you can go here and download the list of brands that require GTIN and you're going to be able to see if you're selling one of those brands, which usually it's for people who are doing retail arbitrage, or if you're already selling a product that already exists and it's a well-known brand, or even if it's not that well known, you have to download this list to see if you actually can apply for GTIN exemption, being in that category or having that brand or not. So once you review that, you can also go to this link right here, which I already have open, and it's going to show you exactly by category if you need to, if it requires a UPC, or if you can request GTIN. So here, for example, baby products, the major brands do require UPC code, just like we talked about, but exemption may be requested for private label brands. So that's what I was saying. If you're selling a private label product, almost every single category, you're able to apply for GTIN exemption. So back at that first link, you're going to be able to scroll down here. It's going to show you the exact step-by-step process of applying for GTIN. And before we actually go ahead and start applying for GTIN exemption, be aware that you must have these requirements right here before you apply. So you need your product name and a minimum of 2 or a maximum of 9 product images showing all sides of your product, and it needs to have the brand on the product or packaging. Also, if you're applying for GTIN exemption, your packaging cannot have any barcode, any UPC barcode showing. Also, the brand needs to be on the product itself or on the package, like engraved on it, like printed. A lot of people have asked if they can use just a label, like a sticker label, and I actually did hear of a lot of people who have been approved just with a label on the product packaging, but they have gone to lengths to make that label very professional looking. So having the brand name very well printed, maybe some design on that sticker, and really well placed on the product packaging as well, and they have been able to use that as the brand of the product that it is required when you are applying for GTIN exemption, because you as you're going to see, you need to have a brand associated with that product when you're listing, or you're going to have another option, and I'm going to show you guys what the other option is. So you can just go here and click on this link, apply for GTIN exemption. All right, once you're here, just go ahead and select the product category that you want to sell in. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and choose home and garden. After you select your product category, you're going to choose your brand and the brand that you want to associate with your product. If you do not have a brand, as it says over here, you can just list generic, but you have to, it is case sensitive, so be sure you put the G as uppercase letter and then everything else lowercase. So you can do generic, or you can do your own brand, and you can apply for GTIN exemption for several brands and for several categories, up to 10. So you can always click here if you want more product categories. You can add more here, and you can add more brands as well. So let's say you also have a brand. I'm going to go ahead and choose like Hobart products, for example. And then you can click here and check eligibility. Okay, as you can see, you are automatically approved for the generic brand, and I'm going to show you guys how to add a product next. For Hobart's products, because that brand is not registered yet, if I went ahead and had selected the brand that I already was brand registered for, that we have here, then I wouldn't have had this issue. I would have been automatically approved as well. But since this is a new brand, that maybe it's your case, you do not have a registered brand yet, then you're going to see here that this requires brand approval. So all you need to do is contact seller support and mention that you got the error code 5665, and along with that case that you're going to create, you need to spell out the brand that you're trying to get approved for. So Hobart products, again, it's case sensitive, so if you have the uppercase H and uppercase P, you have to spell out the exact same. And also, as we mentioned before, you need to have the photos of all of the sides of your product. The brand does not need to be on all of the sides of your product. It can be on just one of the sides of the product or packaging, but they still want to see all of the sides of your product in the images as well. And lastly, do not take screenshots or just send them any manipulated photos. They want real photos. You can even have like your hand holding the product itself. You can take it with your phone. It does not need to be a fancy photo. They just wanted to make sure it wasn't manipulated at all. So you can just go ahead and do that if you want to list it for Hobart products. But since we've been approved for generic, this is how you would go about adding a product now with GTIN exemption. Just go ahead and click add a product. And now you just have to follow all of the same steps of adding your products that we've shown here before. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys everything. So let's say I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon, which would be a private label product. Go ahead and click on that. All right, had to move myself out of the way because the sun was starting to catch up. But once you're in this page, all you have to do is actually find the category that you applied for in your exemption. And for us was home and garden, or home and kitchen, I think it would be here. So go ahead and select that category and go down the path until you find the exact unique category that you want to list your product in. So let's say, for example, that we want to sell in home decor, and we want to sell clocks. And let's see what else. Let's see, we want to do alarm clocks. So select category. So once you get here, you're going to see that you are not required to put a product ID number. It would be highlighted in red and have the asterisk here if you were required, but since we apply for GTIN exemption, you see that this is no problem. But you do have to have the product name, brand, and manufactured. So let's just say we want to do modern digital. Let's just say this is our title for now. Then for brand, what you're gonna have to do is this, as you saw, we were approved for the generic brand, so you're going to have to add the word generic here. So it needs to be case sensitive, so it needs to have the capital G. So once you do that, in this case, for this product category, it is asking for a manufacturer. Honestly, in our experience, we just put anything, unless you know the manufacturer, we can just put like Hobart products. And then you just have to fill in the offer here with, let's say we're going to do $19.99, and then condition new. And all you have to do now is submit, save and finish, and your product is going to be created. And you didn't have to spend a lot of money to buy your barcode for this product. And for the other case, as we already mentioned, if you have to prove your brand, you need to contact seller support, mention the error code, send them all of the required photos, and that's it. You're ready to go. This is the Amazon GTIN exemption process, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any of the amazing content that we're so excited to share. We're going to be sharing the next few weeks. Also, be sure to go through the playlists and all of the other videos that we already have here on the channel. That is really, really great, and we believe that it's going to help you in doing all of your Amazon FBA journey. And also join our Facebook group. We are an amazing community, and we're always there trying to answer as many questions as we can every single day. We have great resources and a lot of latest news on Amazon that we're always posting there. So be sure to join. The link is going to be in the description below. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in future videos.